bases dropped for a new round of soccer down here. John, hear you there. It's a wall pass Wednesday. And Abby's close. Cold weather may be delaying, John. As you can notice, for those of you who are watching on the video side and may not be able to see this later, the boss has started, and I guess this is opening kickoff. We'll just go ahead and call it opening kickoff. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you watching on Twitch. And don't forget, first off, thanks to everybody who has kicked off their day. Get it? Kicked off. It's kicked off their day using Kickoff Coffee. And, thanks to everybody who has done that. Don't forget to use the code SOCCER down here 15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested in youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right. So you might notice, and I'm just going to go ahead and stand up and probably walk around the room here. The boss has started with the holiday decorations. She has started with the Christmas stuff, and it's all over the place. So as you can see, we have our choir and the singing. We have the trees of varying heights. We have the snowman. It's not an etching. It's a stitching. Thank you. So you got stitching here. You've got in the same face with the stitching, and that is actual wood. Okay, I didn't know if that was actual wood or not. So log and the descending order of the artificial trees to go with more choir. And you'll notice over here that we have the fire truck. Right. Keep going. Right in front of the Rhode Island FC scarf and the Atlanta United scarf with the 404 kid. So she's put up things, and there's Christmas boxes and things like that. And so what you may find over time is that the boss has decided she's going to start decorating. Not necessarily a surprise, but she is big into the Christmas decorations and such. So I didn't want anybody to be surprised or shocked with everything laying out this way that it's like, hey, wait a minute, is there Christmas stuff? Yes, there is Christmas stuff. And so the boss has already started with the Christmas stuff here. So if you see Christmas things continually being added to the set here at Office HD, it's because the boss has started and she is off and running. Morning, Abby. Morning, Alex. And we are going to be getting into what happened yesterday in Champions League. But my question for you this morning is, where are you in your decorations? Because of what you're seeing here. Yeah, it's almost December, Capsy, and so this is why I was getting into this as a question. Where are you in your process for changing your holiday decorations? Because the boss makes a point to try to stay as tight to the calendar as possible. Tight to the calendar as possible. And yeah, and like I said, Alex, we will be getting into it because there's a lot to dive into. She'll, leading up to Halloween, it's Halloween stuff. The second she can transition from Halloween to Thanksgiving, she'll do it for the month of November. And now that we're back in the house and the next one up and running is Christmas, she is transitioning, and she has been, and literally this morning, she was down here in the office because, the office had not been touched yet when it comes to everything going on here in the house. It's the other two levels she's been working on. But what she decided to do was get the alarm up and running at an insanely early hour this morning and come down here and work around what's going on here in the office. So actually, tell you what, I'm going to break the fourth wall. I'm going to move the camera a little bit so you can see what else is going on. So you see we've got the pickup trucks, the hats, all of the hats for the season, Christmas tree in the corner, all that kind of stuff. So that's where the boss is when it comes to assembling all of the gear for Office HD here in the holidays. So the boss is up and running. And so what I wanted to know is, where are you in your transitions for your holiday homes? And I didn't know if once the clock turned, if that meant that you as well were up and running and trying to get things squared away so you could be as representative of your Decembers as possible, or if you were late to the game, or if you kind of paced yourself and did some things and, like windows on the main level so people could look at the main level, and then you work on the other levels because people aren't looking like in your basement or in your office or in your upper level. So I wanted to know this morning, where are you in your decorations? So, Kefsi, I'm assisting with ornament construction remotely. Nothing up here that isn't fall like gray. Abby hasn't started yet, and her holiday begins December 7th at sundown. Have to start pulling out all of her Hanukkah, the candles and the decorations. Alex converted to full Chrismukkah last Sunday, and Alex says, yeah, it's always Thanksgiving weekend when the transitions start for the family piscine. So, yeah. So, like I said, I didn't want you to sit there and go, hey, wait a minute, things are different here in Office HD, because yes, we have choir members, we have descending orders of trees, then we have descending orders of trees on the other side of the piano. That's what this is. If you guys have always wondered, that's a piano, and it's great for hanging up scarves and things like that, and making sure that the notifications of the day are what they are. But yeah, this is an old piano. It's great for holding things up. So, yeah, I didn't want you to be confused. So, like I said, red truck. Yeah. So, then the boss occasionally will watch a Hallmark movie, but yeah, red truck is her thing for this time of year. So, choir members, ascending and descending orders of artificial trees, pieces of wood, and stitching, not paintings, but frame stitchings. So that's what's on top of the piano here. And yeah, so and the red fire truck, which is part of everything and everyone's Christmas. So that's where we are. So between tree lighting in town next week on the 7th is Hanukkah. So there you go. But yeah, I didn't want you guys to sit there and go, hey, wait a minute, things are different, and not get the explanation as to why. And so that's why I was going to ask you guys what's up with your designs of everything going on. Abby, beginning to at least work on the movie list for Christmas Day. Alex, I did not know this. Alex says there's a soccer-themed Hallmark Christmas movie this year. I was not aware of this. And there have been times in the past, full disclosure. So, something like Notting Hill. Hang on. Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about. Hang on. Hallmark Notting Hill. Because I think I've seen the promos for it. And Christmas in Notting Hill. And apparently, Christmas in Notting Hill is on Peacock, and they responded to Ted Lasso in their Christmas movie. So, Sarah Ramos, William Mosley, I've never seen them, or if I have, I wouldn't recognize them. Featured a number of cheeky moments and pop culture callouts. This is from our friends at People Magazine, including a scene about Ted Lasso that was a direct response to the Apple TV Plus hit about dialogue in Hallmark movies. Season 3 episode, Lasso tells the team they're being so inoffensive, we might as well be a Hallmark Christmas movie. And then when the team looks perplexed, Roy Kent, being Roy, is genuinely curious about what a Hallmark Christmas movie is. Ted, quote, Hallmark Christmas movies are films that feature women from the big city falling in love with their childhood crushes. It's usually some fellow that owns a Christmas tree farm. Sometimes he's also Santa Claus or a prince. Ted admitted they suck, but they're great. But they also mostly suck, but they're also kind of great. They're good with the sound off. In Christmas in Notting Hill, Mosley plays a famous soccer player who falls for an American girl. It's Ramos as Georgia, who skillfully delivers a speech with a similar cadence. And the clip is on People, and it's on people.com. George's father admits he spent the flight to London watching Ted Lasso. Graham jokes the show depicts exactly what it's like to play professional football, to which George sassily says, your coach is an American football coach turned soccer coach with no prior experience who bakes biscuits and makes motivational signs, is heavy on the folksy charm and still doesn't know what offside is. And Graham quips, precisely, minus the mustache. And it was no accident that they did it, because they were filming in London. Male leads a professional football player. So it was on purpose. Christmas in Notting Hill. That's the one, and Abby doing the public service. This was the one, yes. This was the one that I knew of, a winning team where Christopher Palaha and is dressed in purple with Nadia Hatta. I remembered winning team, and he's supposed to be on. He's like a washed up athlete, and he's now back home coaching. And so she's a temperamental player who is on suspension and things like that. So, winning team. It's like, when Abby, when you link to it, I remembered which one it was. That was the one. That's the one that I had seen previously. And I'll go ahead and admit it. I watch Hallmark and Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. As a matter of fact, it's on right now. This time of year, there you go. I didn't know that Chris Jericho had a Christmas movie on Hallmark. That's a good one, Rich. I did not know that. That's wild, wacky stuff. I did not know that. Chris Jericho with a Christmas movie. Wow. Did not know that. And I wonder, does the crowd sing Judas? So Hutch, public service announcement. The gasoline tax holiday here in Georgia expires today. Gas prices soon jump about 30 cents a gallon. Avoid the rush and fill up today. So Hutch with the PSA today. But yeah, I remembered the winning team from Nadia Hatta and Christopher Polaha. I remembered that one. So yeah, that's what you're looking at here. Christmas has already started. Holiday celebrations have started here in Office HD. Yes. See, now this is a question. This is a question. Absolutely. Is Die Hard considered a Christmas movie? Rich Ransom is like, no. Here's your QOD for the day. Since we're almost in the month of December, we'll go ahead and start December off with a question. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie, people? I would say yes. I legitimately would say yes. Because I thought I remembered the producer of the movie being asked, and he gave an answer. So we're still in opening kickoff. So this is open. This is open season. This is territory we can go here. So, all right. So I'm using the Google machine with the question. I'm using the question. So, Men's Health. Bruce Willis said no. Die Hard is not. Wait, hang on. So did Bruce Willis say this? Did Bruce Willis say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie? Hang on. Okay, so apparently one of the film's screenwriters, Stephen E. D'Souza and Bruce Willis, they disagree. So all right. So our friends at the Pioneer Woman. Say, here's why. Literally, the story begins on Christmas Eve. John's wife is named Holly. A lot of Christmas music in Die Hard. Some have compared Die Hard to the Christmas classic It's a Wonderful Life, even going so far as to call it a secret remake, drawing parallels between John McClane, George Bailey, Hans Gruber, and Mr. Potter. Santa Claus makes an appearance, kind of. No, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. One, it's simply too brutal, a lot of action, fight scenes, and gore, which typical Christmas movies just don't have in them. Two, while the story takes place on Christmas, the timing of the movie doesn't really have an impact on the plot. Some even go as far as saying that if Die Hard took place during the summer, it would be the exact same movie, minus the Santa hats and snow. Die Hard had a July premiere date. Enough said. Stephen E. D'Souza, one of the screenwriters, was asked by Jake Tapper if it's a Christmas movie. Jake, to Stephen E. D'Souza on the 280 character app. I'm sure you weighed in on this before, but I've never heard you or Jeb Stewart offer your take on whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Stephen E. D'Souza in response, yes, because the studio rejected the Purim draft. Hashtag Die Hard is a Christmas movie. 2018, Bruce Willis shook things up at a Comedy Central event he attended, took part in a roast on stage, ended it by making a bold statement that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. That's from our friends at the Pioneer Woman, who break down Die Hard. But it is or it isn't. So the Hutch with the burning question here. See, this is the beauty of Wall Pass Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. This is the beauty of Wall Pass Wednesday. That we go in these kinds of directions. Yes, I know we're going to talk about soccer and in a little bit, and news of the day and all that stuff. But the question of the day seems to have taken off. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Rich, it's not a Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas. Michael Head, no. Rich, if it was a Christmas movie, then all the sequels would have took place at Christmas. Abby actively utilizes the Christmas setting. Here's perhaps the most obvious reason that it is. Set at Christmas time, and that element is integral, creatively and humorously, throughout its 132-minute runtime, November 6th of 2023. So Abby was looking for something recently spoken about it. Abby finds it, and I'm just going to duck my head because this is a big lower third. Among the most amusing Yuletide-leaning moments in Die Hard, lovable good guy cop Al Powell, Reginald Val Johnson, innocuously singing Let It Snow before a baddie's bloody corpse falls several stories onto his patrol car. And all hell breaks loose. Sorry, I lost my place. And memorable, joyful, joyful instrumental cue at the top of the third act. Then there's plucky limo driver Argyle's final line, if this is your idea of Christmas, I got to be here for New Year's. So then, all right, so then Alex with the subplot. Okay, then is Gremlins a Christmas movie or just takes place during Christmas? Let's be consistent. I would say that Gremlins is a Christmas movie because, once again, you're looking at a Christmas gift in the Mogwai, and then all that chaos takes place on Christmas. So, Abby, what source is this that you're quoting here? Die Hard stands out because of the unexpected, an unlikely star, delicious villain, wealth of wise-ass humor, touching romance, and even more touching bromance. Also, like many of the Christmas movies we plan and repeat every year, sticks to a crowd-pleasing formula. The novel it's based on ends in tragedy. Our grizzled, already bitter hero watches helplessly as his daughter falls 30 stories to her death. I did not know that was in the book. I guess that's why I didn't read the book. Man. Wow. That's wild. Did not know that. That's crazy. Yeah, so Abby, where are you quoting this? But yes, for me, then by logic, Gremlins would also be a Christmas movie. So that's where we are. Discussing on Wall Pass Wednesday's opening kickoff whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie or Gremlins is a Christmas movie or both. There's definitely a place for bleaker, even outright downbeat thrillers when they're done right, but the filmmakers of Die Hard were right to heavily rework the source material. Die Hard is Parade, thank you. Rework the source material. Die Hard is a nuanced but streamlined hero's journey. We root for him, he wins. So Abby quoting Parade magazine about Die Hard and being a Christmas movie. So, so that's where we are with all this. So Die Hard is the discussion, and continue the discussions. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? since we were within 30 days. Oh, and by the way, I have my I have my falling Hans Gruber. I have my falling Hans Gruber, which you sit there and you adjust for each day leading into Christmas. So starting December 1st, Hans Gruber starts to fall from the top of Nakatomi Plaza. I might bring that over here one morning just to kind of show you. While we're thinking about it, remember, and Abby, yes, I know, the box is on its way. So once again, we are reissuing the Atlanta is American Soccer Vic Crow quote scarf. We are reissuing this for the holidays to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands. They want to try and do some things in 2024, and we're going to try to help them out. So if you did not get this first time around, or if you want more of them as a possible Chris Kwanzaa gift, then let me know. Send a DM, and we can get this squared away. 25 plus shipping, and we'll go from there. But yeah, we're reissuing this one, and we are also in the works for a follow-up in 2024. Like I said, we want to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands. They want to do some things here in the United States. Abby, you are first on the spreadsheet. So once again, we are reissuing the Atlanta is a Soccer City scarf, the Vic Crow quote. We're reissuing this, and we are starting a second scarf in design as a follow-up for 2024 to help out our friends from the Marshall Islands. So there you go. But yes, so this morning, yeah, we'll let the Abstermobile go out in a blaze of glory, and we can help out there. But yeah, Christmas movie, yay or nay, Gremlins and or Die Hard. Like I said, we're within the 30-day window for discussing things about Christmas, and it's a Wall Pass Wednesday, so there. So there you go. All right. That was opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code. For those of you watching on Twitch, don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. They in turn take 15% off of your purchase when you kick off your day with Kickoff Coffee. They in turn take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Bart Keeler is now being moved to Mondays at 10:30 because I forgot that Bart actually has to go into work now. And so Mondays and Fridays, I think, are the 2 days that he is not going into work. So we'll have Bart come on Mondays at 10:30 for the weekend review, and we'll break everything down with Bart that sticks in his mind. But we do have a lot of reffing down here, and it probably starts with the PSG and Newcastle. And yes, Alex, you can go ahead and raise all holy you-know-what about it. We will discuss. Here we go. Yesterday, you had a moment at 90 plus 3. It was a 90 plus 4. And the wonder of whether or not it was a penalty turned into a look at VAR, turned into a penalty, and there in turn ended up a fantastic result. What would have been a fantastic result in the group of death for Newcastle had 2 points pulled away. And like I said, yes, Alex, you can stomp your feet and let us know what you think about it. And I know what you think about it, but let us know anyway. So there's been fallout because of this. And I thought about bringing the conversation that was had from our friends at CBS Sports about it yesterday. They had Christina Uncle on the table, and it was being with Jamie Carragher and the group. They're in Miami looking at this match day for Champions League. But it turned into more of a yelling, screaming, ranting, raving, playing to the crowd kind of a thing. And so I decided against running it. But here's what went down. The VAR at the center of the penalty controversy has been removed from Champions League duty after authorities concluded both he and the referee were at fault. In a clear sign, this is from our friends at The Telegraph by Tom Morgan. In a clear sign, UEFA believes the officials got it wrong before Kylian Mbappe leveled from the spot. A new official will take over Tomasz Kwiatkowski's duties for Real Sociedad and RB Salzburg. Simon Marciniak will face no action, however, as he was already due to be absent from the next round of matches because of the Club World Cup. UEFA confirmed the VAR replacement without giving any reason, but the handball decision was contrary to its own advice to match officials at the start of the season. The 96th minute penalty, okay, so I was 2 minutes off. The 96th minute penalty decision prompts screams of dismay from Newcastle and TNT England pundits alike. Marciniak had turned down one early spot kick appeal. He initially looked minded to wave away another when Tino Livramento closed down Ousmane Dembele, with the ball initially ricocheting onto the defender's chest before glancing his elbow. So, yes, you see it. In the video, it hits him in the ribs and bounces up and hits the left forearm of Livramento. So, body, left arm. However, after speaking to VAR, Marciniak goes to the pitch side monitor, reviews the footage for no more than 7 seconds, gestures to the spot. The law states that a handball should be given if a player deliberately touches the ball with their hand or arm, for example, and this is in quotation, moving their hand or arm towards the ball, and mentions making the body unnaturally bigger. In April, UEFA Football Board held their inaugural meeting in Nyon, Switzerland, and recommended, quote, that UEFA should clarify that no handball offense should be called on a player if the ball is previously deflected from his own body, and in particular when the ball does not go towards the goal. Sources with understanding of UEFA's position maintained the referee and VAR had made a mistake rather than following the wrong guidance. Those with knowledge of refereeing in the Premier League said there was no chance the penalty would have been given in England's top tier. Yeah, because remember, UEFA's guidelines are tougher than those of the Premier League. Kwiatkowski, a VAR specialist from Poland, rated one of the best in the world, but will be replaced by a German match official for the next fixture. UEFA has a policy of not discussing incidents on the field of play. The draw kept PSG 2 points clear of Newcastle in Group F. Newcastle now has to win their final home match against AC Milan on December 13 and hope PSG fail to win at Dortmund. So, with it being a tougher guideline, that's what you end up with. Follow-up article. And once again, when you end up with more than one writer on a story, you know that's big. Edwards, Hackett, and Morgan. Edwards, and all three of them had their own little paragraphs. Luke Edwards denied one of the most famous victories in European history. Like I said, this is Edwards, so it's a mix of commentary and of what happened in the match. Penalty labeled a disgrace and a robbery by pundits. And I think Alan Shearer actually dropped an F-bomb and an S-bomb on his 280-character app. Eddie Howe said he felt a huge sense of injustice that the wrong decision had been reached and that extreme pressure was put on Simon Marciniak. Marciniak had initially waved away the Dembele cross at Livramento's chest before striking his elbow. Mbappe scores from the spot. Penalty would not have been awarded in the Premier League, with UEFA having stricter rules on whether handball should be given if the ball bounces off a player's body first. And that's the key here. UEFA has stricter rules. UEFA's got stricter rules than the Premier League, as an example, what Newcastle is used to experiencing. Asked by Telegraph Sport if he felt a huge sense of injustice, Howe replied, quote, "Yes, I do. It wasn't the right decision, in my opinion. There are so many things to take into account at that moment. The speed first. It was a ricochet that, when it slowed down, looks completely different to the live event. The ball hits his chest first, comes up, hits his hand, but his hand is not in an unnatural position. They, meaning his arms, are down by his side. Well, they really weren't, but I mean, his left arm is up, but he's okay. Let me go through the paragraph again. The ball hits his chest first, comes up and hit his forearm, but okay. His hand is not in an unnatural position. I mean, yes, he is running and it's in the middle of a run, I don't know if that would fit unnatural position or not. His arms are down by his side, but he is in a running motion. See, now if you're in a running motion, your arms are not at your sides. But I get what Eddie Howe is trying to get to. I feel it is a poor decision, and it's hugely frustrating for us, as you know, how little time there is left in the game. There's nothing we can do about it now. Yes, of course, meaning is it a struggle to control your anger? Eddie Howe goes, yes, of course, but I have to control myself. That is my job, and it doesn't do any good to lose control of your emotions when I speak. I'm just devastated for the players, the way they performed in very difficult circumstances, and what that decision does to the group. Our destiny is not in our own hands now, and that is tough to take after being in that position. I'm still coming to terms with it. I feel really flat, but at the same time, pleased with the players. Squad's very thin. We deserve to win. Our luck ran out at the end. The pressure put on the referee by the crowd was extreme. Morgan. Not a chance, responded one senior figure in top-tier officiating when asked by Telegraph Sport, and some English fans think it's better everywhere else. The law states that a handball should be given if a player deliberately touches the ball with their hand or arm, for example, moving their hand or arm towards the ball. Obviously, Livramento was not, as he was in a running stride, and mentions making the body unnaturally bigger. UEFA, however, has instructed its referees to be stricter than the Premier League in administering that guidance, with players often automatically punished in European competition if the ball hits their arm after deflecting off the body. Lawmakers in England had initially used the same tougher rules 3 years ago, but they were quickly dropped after players and managers complained. PGMOL has adopted an approach where body position is more crucial in decision-making. Source with knowledge of Premier League officiating, so it's probably a Premier League official, explained why it would not have been given in England. Arm position is key. It's natural, the source said. Off the chest, onto the elbow, not above the head or unexplainable by body position. Also, deflection doesn't mean absolutely not a penalty generally. Again, it comes down to the arm position. Premier League adopts a different interpretation to other leagues. It had seemed for some time, the story continues, that UEFA would also relent on its harsh handball approach in response to previous confusions where penalties have been waved away in England. Peter Walton, former Premier League referee, said last season IFAB should again, quote, pull together all these competitions and align them in their interpretations. I'll circle back to that in a second. In April, as the UEFA Football Board held its inaugural meeting in Nyon, an agreement that the same unified approach should be applied in domestic competitions across Europe, the group also recommended that UEFA should clarify no handball offense should be called on a player if the ball is previously deflected from his own body, and in particular when the ball does not go towards the goal, end quote. However, that recommendation to UEFA was not implemented for this season, as the decision made by Marciniak on Tuesday illustrated. So, you look at that incident, and then you go back to the similar incident with Lewis Miley, which was checked by VAR. Ruled Miley's arm was in a natural position. No deliberate handball, though there don't look to be many differences between this one and the one that was given, according to Morgan. Jermaine Jenis, quote, the one on Lewis Miley bounces up to his arm. VAR had a really good look at it and said it was not a penalty. It's negligence to the game. I'm so frustrated. And Keith Hackett, the former referees chief, says a decision to penalize is why the law needs a revisit by IFAB. Law state, and this once again, this is Keith Hackett in his analysis. The law states it's an offense if a player deliberately touches the ball with their hand or arm, for example, moving the hand or arm towards the ball. Officials have to judge in this situation if Livramento deliberately handled the ball. I don't think he did. Like I said, it goes off his rib cage, hits him in the forearm. I don't think that's deliberately handling. Given forward momentum and downward movement of the arm, match officials determine offense had been committed. Hackett. But these decisions become so subjective, referees must take into account the movement of the player and the natural position of the arm. I can understand Newcastle's frustration. Well, so it hits him more like elbow. Hackett. I have an ongoing concern that the handball law is becoming too subjective among officials and is not being helped with the constant slow motion replays that change the context around an incident. I would get rid of slow motion replays for one, as I don't believe there's a benefit to it, and instead just play it in real time. All these slow motion replays complicate the decision-making process. The majority of refs would give a decision based off slow motion, but that's not the reality of the situation. It's a false picture. Last April, once again, UEFA board recommended that there should be clarity that no handball offense should be called on a player if the ball is previously deflected from their own body. Recommendation was not implemented. Hackett says best way forward is to make things a lot simpler as regards to the handball law and apply it across all competitions so there's consistency in decision-making. Rework the law, make it simpler. Merely is it a deliberate handball or not, and do away with the slow motion replays when we may begin to see progress. Okay, so let's go back to the larger picture here. I think, once again, the main issue here is UEFA's interpretation versus what Newcastle is used to in the Premier League. UEFA's interpretation is more harsh by nature, or by definition, than what Newcastle is used to experiencing on a daily basis. Over time, going into a competition, you probably, as a Premier League manager, should remind your players, hey, it's different. Be careful. Just as like, wearing a hard hat, going to work. Look, hard hat and a vest, it's a little different. Reminded of that going into play. Hey, guys, I know that you're used to doing things a certain way. But here it's different. Just until the rule is changed. Just go in, know it's different, and then try and act accordingly. Know that this may go down. But I also have an idea that you're looking almost in a HAL 9000 kind of way. Because if Lewis Miley was called one way, Livramento was called another, UEFA's handball rule is one way, the Premier League's handball rule is another. So basically you have conflicting information here that you're having to deal with in these cases. And it is, like I said, I think that once again, we have to go back to the idea of uniformity here, because in as much as things are different and you would have to remind your players, hey, it's a little different here, you got to be aware. I know that in the moment you're more focused on being an athlete and all that kind of stuff. But until things change, try to take away any shred of doubt or any kind of margin for error. Hey, things are a little different. Just remember, guys, what we're used to on a Saturday isn't going to be there on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So just kind of be careful how you handle yourselves. Like I said, until there is a rule change. I think there should be some uniformity in the idea. But if VAR applied it to a UEFA guideline, and if this VAR official specifically applied it to the UEFA guideline, then I know that Marciniak looked at it for 7 seconds and said, yeah, it's a penalty. If by UEFA guidelines it's a penalty, VAR goes, yep, that's a penalty by what we do and how our rule is. Then the more that I'm processing this, and like I said, think this through with us here, and we'll all, like I said, we'll all workshop this. If VAR was operating by the UEFA standard, Marciniak agreed with VAR basically instantaneously. Yes, I know it's not the Premier League standard, but looking at it specifically from UEFA, VAR goes, by UEFA standards, it's a penalty. Marciniak goes, yep, you're right, penalty. Then why would UEFA sit there and give VAR and de facto Marciniak a pass for the next match week. If you were right, I'm thinking that this is more okay. Just kind of keep your head low and just stay cool because of all of the firestorm that's been created. Even though you did the correct interpretation by UEFA standards, that was the other thing that got me this morning, and I had to think about it for a little bit. Okay, so VAR guy applies UEFA standard. Center ref goes by UEFA standard with VAR, but VAR gets sent away for match day 6 and because of the firestorm more than anything else. So was it wrong, or are they just keeping him out of the line of fire here? Those were the two things that popped into my head. Is it line of fire? It's like, look, just let it calm down. Just go over there. Don't, match week 6, match day 6. You'll be over there. Everything's cool. And we'll get into the sin bin talk probably after 10:30. But I was kind of processing. It's like, why, if dude used UEFA standard, is it all? Just kind of go over there. Like I said, that was just me and kind of processing things. Alex, and like I said, Dylan at 10 o'clock, and we'll get his thoughts on this too. Howe was calm and classy. He didn't rant. I've never known Eddie Howe to rant. I've never known Eddie Howe to rant, even in his time at Bournemouth. I never knew him to sit there and stomp his feet and want to stomp a mud hole in somebody. David, did it deflect toward the goal as the UEFA rule talks about? Did not see. So truly curious. I don't think that in the Livramento case, I mean, technically, yeah, but you're talking about a foot of impact. Like literally, it's like impact on the ribs, and then it hits Livramento in the elbow. So you're talking about a foot, and by nature it would, and Livramento is off to the side. So literally, it's like ribs, elbow. It's a foot, and technically, since he is this way, it does deflect toward goal. But I mean, like I said, I am literally just sitting there and going by letter of the law. Yeah, because he was sideways and it was a profile and it goes off his ribs and off his elbow. Technically, it did, but in the grand scheme of things, it was a foot of movement in the grand scheme of things inside the 18. Diagonally backwards and central, down and to the right. Tom, I didn't think it should be called. Arms in a natural running position as the ball deflects off his side. Shouldn't be a handball. It's not that conflicting. If it fits UEFA rules, it does. Haven't seen it, and that's the thing. It's like if okay, so Don Hutch, if you're doing Tom, please tell me that that's for public service. Did you find the play as we? Yeah, Don. Okay, so let me see if. All right. So where was I looking? But I don't want to sit there and go someplace where you guys can't click on it. So handball, Newcastle, PSG. Let's do that to start. And go. Let's see. I'm trying to find the actual video itself. Yes, Ally McCoist is furious, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Barcola, Marciniak, Donnarumma, Livramento. Where's the penalty? Okay, found it. All right. So, as a public service, here we go. I found a copy of the slow-mo, and that's another part of it. Yes, Don was very bothered, and I've got that. So I've got that up. Thank you, Tom. So there's the play, the Livramento handball. But like I said, Kessie, the thing for me was if the VAR and Marciniak went by the UEFA standard, then they had the right call by UEFA standard. And even if it wasn't by Premier League standard, it doesn't matter. If it was by UEFA standard, they were correct, yet at the same time, they're going to sit for match day 6. That was the other part that was like, okay, yeah, I'm guessing it was just firestorm, go over here, just let it cool off. Rich, I'd let the governing bodies try to get on the same page in the offseason. Remember, they tried in March, but then they disagreed. And Kevsey, replay should be at game speed. And that was the other element in this that I wanted to discuss here, is that it should be, that's the other thing. It's like, I think the play in and of itself, I think slow-mo helps, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it does need to be at some kind of speed that is close to game action. I think that when you're looking at, if you want to sit there and clarify something, if it's margins and you need to look at something slowly, then I'm cool with it. I'm cool with slow-mo, but I get the notion of wanting to see something as an act at full speed. I get that. Tom Russo during the Lord's production work, Don Hutchison says, with using the hashtags ref, VAR, and laws, and so followed by 70,000 folks on the 280-character app. X-Pro, Liverpool, Everton, West Ham, Sunderland, Scotland, Blades, Pools, Covington, Luton Town. Wow, played a lot of places. I'm telling you now, and this is Don Hutchison from this quote, or from this 280-character statement. Telling you now, managers and players will now start kicking the ball off defenders' arms on purpose. I would if I was playing. Every time I was in the box, I'd kick off a defender's arm. Don't be surprised. So, Alex, I fixed VAR a few weeks ago. Well, I mean, it could be both in and on Twitter. Just waiting for them to implement your simple enhancements. And so, I can't wait. So in Nyon, then that's true. So then what did you do if you fixed it? Well, I can't follow folks on the Twitters because at 5,000 they stop you and you can't follow more. So Alex, what'd you do? How'd you fix VAR? Let me know. It takes some serious talent to do that consistently. And so here we are again for the umpth time discussing VAR. There would have been the same discussion without VAR. So how is this better? Well, and Michael, I mean, and you're also dealing with you're dealing with different organizational bodies with different rules and implications. You're dealing with what was close to the same situation twice in the same match. One got it called, one didn't. And so it's more, instead of it being a VAR discussion, it's a discussion about the rule itself and how governing bodies have different interpretations of what they think it should be. That's the discussion today. It's not about a VAR discussion. It is about the rule itself of handball. That's what today's discussion is. And how if UEFA has one thing and the Premier League has another, then you've got to be prepared for both rules currently, the way that it's being implemented. And so that's where we are today with this. It's the idea of this is not a VAR discussion. This is a discussion of handball and how in different parts of the planet, literally separated by the English Channel, things are different. And as many times as folks want to go under the same roof to discuss things, if they don't agree, then you're stuck with two separate sets of rules, and you end up with interpretations that have to be different, and you end up with the harsher interpretation being different because of the competition that they're in, and we end up with the mess that happened yesterday. So with VAR, without VAR, I mean, if you just want to make it a VAR discussion, I think without VAR, I think that you end up with Miley obviously not happening. I don't think Livermento happens unless it's seen by one of the ARs or by Simon Marciniak. But now today it's a discussion about the rules of the game, the laws of the game being different in different places. So in your domestic league, it's one thing, but then you hop the English Channel and you play in a European competition, and it's something different. And until the individual leagues and UEFA get under the same umbrella and come up with the same idea of, okay, here's how it should be, here's how it's going to be implemented, you're going to have moments like this where yesterday you had what could have been a seismic win for Newcastle turn into a draw because of the harsher interpretation of the handball law by UEFA as opposed to what Newcastle is used to in the Premier League. So today it's more of a handball discussion than anything. And the byproduct of it being a VAR discussion about seeing something in real time versus slow-mo. But yeah, Alex, how did you fix VAR? Hang on. Well, let me see if I can find it. How about that? Let me see if I can find Alex's way of fixing VAR. As I sit here and scan down, I'm looking in how far back did you do this? I'm sitting here and scanning back, and you're looking. I'm back in your. Well, no, but I'm looking at it through the SDH Twitter account. There's Rocco Rios Novo in the belly of the beast on game day. Footy. Here we go. Okay, let's fix VAR. All right, found it. Found it. All reviews in the booth and on the monitor have to be at full speed. Ensures only obvious errors identified, no slow-mo. No more scrubbing for fouls in the build-up to a goal. And the ref has to go to monitor for every review. Accountability. Reviews in the booth on the monitor, full speed. I get that, but like I said, I think that looking at something, and at a slower speed helps in the minutia of what you're looking at, in the finer details. No more scrubbing for fouls in the build-up to a goal. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. If a foul started, it's like advantage. Ref has to go to the monitor for every review. And I could understand that too. Okay, so Alex, those are Alex's suggestions for VAR. And D. Graham, someone is not doing their job properly. Tom Gary, a new FIFPro survey reveals that 22% of FIFA. This is a separate story. Okay. So I'm going to hang on to that separate story. Okay. I thought it was going down the road that we're on, but I'll hang on to that one, D. Graham. A FIFPro survey revealing 22% of FIFA Women's World Cup players didn't have an ECG. 10% didn't have any pre-tournament medical exam, despite it being mandated by regulation. So we'll get into that with after 10:30. Tom, I don't think the differences in the rules have anything to do with the players' play. Are we suggesting Newcastle players acted differently yesterday because he was playing in a UEFA competition, not the Premier League? I think it's a big stretch if that's what we're trying to say. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying that they're going to play as they play, but they should know going in, or at least be reminded, hey, UEFA's rules for handball is different with how the players are playing. I don't think they're playing differently. I just think that at least going in, until there's uniformity in the rules and the laws of the game, hey, UEFA's a little different. I know you're not going to play differently, but at least put the thought in players' minds that something may happen, that you have to be made aware. It's like a public service announcement for being at a UEFA event. I don't think they're going to play differently, and I'm not going to say Newcastle players acted differently. I'm just saying that going into a UEFA situation, have the more with UEFA and the handball law and how it's implemented. So that's kind of what I was that's what I was getting into, Tom. It wasn't that it wasn't one thing or the other. So I don't think Newcastle players play differently. I just think that like I said, the more do that. Alex, big thing is that we don't want to re-referee. No, slow-mo gives an advantage that the on-field ref cannot possibly have. It's not an alternate angle. Maybe you would have seen with different positioning, rather superhuman ability. Yeah, and I get that. Like I said, I get the idea of chasing after something at real speed. But I know that once again, in wherever we have video review, I think that when you slow something down, I think you're looking for something. I think that's what you're looking for. And that's an interesting piece of news from yesterday that I'm just seeing today. Interesting. Okay, David Mejia, close to being for the Miami FC, could be paired up with Antonio Nocerino. So we will keep an eye on. We'll keep an eye on that. David Mejia possibly moving to the Miami FC in the USL Championship. It is that time, and we will have. It looks like we'll have Dylan Butler on audio, but it's good to have Dylan back, and we can talk about a bunch of things. Dylan, good morning. And okay, so so as soon as I toss to him, okay, so I think he's trying to figure out his camera.
It's not. Yeah, I don't know. It's not working.
Okay,
I don't know why. It must be UEFA issued.
Yes, it's a UEFA issued camera.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's what we were getting into this morning. I know that shocks you.
Yeah, I can get into it. That's for sure.
So please, sir, while I promote the fact that you have returned to the show, please get into the discussion we were having, mostly of hour number one, about UEFA handball rules being different than Premier League handball rules. Miley having the same thing happen possibly to the opposite arm that Livramento did. You get a different call and a different result. Please proceed with your Newcastle-ness, sir.
I mean, look, here's what I don't understand, right? In live time, you thought there was an issue, there was going to be a problem with so many penalty shouts, and once and I think I think the commentators had it spot on, right? They were like, "Oh, this is going to be a pen because look, he's going to the monitor. This would appear to be so," and then it was as clear as day, right? Like it deflected off the body onto the arm. There's no reason for that to be a pen. And sure as ish it was, right? And then, right, arguably the best player in the world, outside of the guy who plays in Miami, scores the goal. And now, Newcastle go, in this group of death, they go from likely just needing a draw at home against Milan, which, you would probably put pretty good odds on, right? To advance, to now it not being completely in their hands. And now you need help from Dortmund and and then for UEFA to, I don't know if gall is the right word, but to have the cojones, right, to come out.
The grapefruits, yes, sir.
The day after and be like, yeah, you know what? Listen, man, our bad. The guy's not going to work today. Oh, cool. Great. Thank you. Thank you, because that completely rectified the entire situation. We knew it shouldn't have been. Everyone knew it, right? Like if you're watching it live, you knew it. And here's the thing. If this was 5 years ago, if this was 10 years ago, and a penalty was given, which, by the way, it wasn't given on the play live by the official. So now it's right, clear and obvious are the words, right? If a penalty was given by the official in live time in the speed of play, you could almost live with that, because you go, look, listen, man, he doesn't have replay at his disposal, right? It's it sucks for Newcastle, but until if there's ever a day that replay is used, then they'll get that right. Well, guess what? They didn't. They got it wrong. And it's infuriating. Like I almost wish that UEFA didn't come out with a statement.
And just kind of buried the lead. It's just
because the points aren't given back, right? Is there a subsequent statements coming out? Well, after reviewing, especially considering the time of the game, Newcastle will be awarded the 2 points that they were wrongly taken away. No, of course they won't. But because also, look, obviously, I'm not stupid. There's no guarantee that they don't score after that, right? Like if you can't, that's not the last play of the game. Obviously, there were a few more minutes. It was a great opportunity. They almost scored another goal. On the night though, they couldn't find the net without help from the official. So it's now my only solace, if there is solace in the situation, is that it's not the final match day. It's that there is an opportunity now for Newcastle to, listen, the first tiebreaker, which I thought it was goal difference, by the way. And guess what the goal difference is between PSG and Newcastle right now?
Was it 4-5?
One freaking goal.
One freaking goal. Okay.
That goal. That's going to be the goal but no, it's actually head-to-head points. So if it's PSG and Newcastle tied at the end, we whipped their at home. They were fortunate to get a draw on the road at home, I should say, in Paris last night. So we would go through on the head-to-head. We would finish second, but again, we've got to play it through, I feel for the players on the night too, because look, this is a mash unit of a team, right? There's so many injuries, and it's so true. I mean, Newcastle haven't had to deal with this for more than 2 decades, right, of playing in the Champions League. We don't have the depth yet, so. For those guys, for those 11 to play the way they did for 90 minutes, to suffer the way they did in the second half, to not come away with the result that they should have gotten, that should have been their headline, right? Gutty Newcastle moves one step closer to advancing the Champions League, despite being hamstrung with injuries. I mean, that's way too long of a headline, but instead it's about, more VAR crap.
So then let me ask you this. What about the usage of slow-mo in VAR? Where do you stand on that as a part of the larger picture in the administration of a call?
If it rights a wrong, if it provides clarity, why not?
That was the biggest. That was like a sub issue that has been brought up this morning about the whole thing, is that if you're going to use VAR at full speed.
Yeah. Well, no, but just use every bit of VAR you have at your disposal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like slow it down, like the Zapruder film, if you need to.
Right.
Just get it right.
Yeah. So how was your Thanksgiving?
Sorry for my soapbox there,
dude. That's what we're here for. It's all good.
It was good. It was quiet. It was fun to watch the parade with my daughter, and it's not a big football family, so I think a large portion of the day was watching Bluey, which is a great show. So I don't mind that. So okay. it was good. How about you?
I spent more time driving than I did at the actual location.
Well, that's not good.
Traditionally, we have family spread out in 2 separate states. And so for us here in Atlanta, we're driving to Montgomery, which is 2.5 hours. And there are folks who are driving from South Alabama to Montgomery. It's less than that. So we meet in the midpoint, which really isn't a midpoint, but it's like the spoke in the wheel. We drive from Montgomery. So for me, 2.5 hours down, 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back, because I got playoff football the next day. And so I had to go back, I had to come back and be here to prepare and try to look like I knew what I was talking about on Black Friday. So that was,
I was fortunate with that. Largely my football season ended this Saturday before that, which was a championship triple header.
Yes.
So I left my house at 8:30 in the morning, and I returned to my house at 11:30 at night on Saturday. And then, being the good girl dad that I am, Sunday morning went to Disney on Ice. So
okay.
Yes.
So you had Disney characters with oversized heads on ice skates.
Yes.
Okay.
And somehow the biggest cheers, I think it must have been just because it was from the boys, was when like Cars, like the movie Cars.
Yeah.
When the cars went onto the ice, like they don't skate. Like it's not skaters. Like it's not. It's just these big cars like sliding around the ice. It was odd.
But yeah, it's all right. So we're gonna have hydroplaning with cars. That's what we're gonna do. All right. So we've had some things happen with playoffs, and this is the first time that we've had you on since we've gotten to the Final Four. So what's your 30,000-foot look at getting to the Final Four? What have you seen since we've had you on? Haven't had you on in the last 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, we got the matchup I was trying to will into existence, right? The hell is real. So it is real, and it will not be. It's the realest it will be to this point. So, and actually, right, the realest it could ever be, because they wouldn't match up unless somehow there's teams moving from the east to the west or whatever. But like, they will never meet in a higher with more stakes, right? So that is one. And listen, props to you, man. Like you called it. I thought that
I said something right.
Yeah, Well, I said I thought it was going to be of the two results you needed to happen to get to Hell is Real. I thought it was a tougher road for Columbus. I think I said that, and then you were like, no, I don't know about that because of Philly, but also I think because you're throwing shade at Orlando, and you were right in both senses. So
I have to mark this tape if I was correct. It's just you look at everything now, and I have really been impressed with what Wilfried Nancy has done. If I could get my upper plate to work, with what Wilfried Nancy has been able to do, and players having fun, and obviously I think that we lock into positional play a bit too much, and it's this free flowing thing that you're looking at, and it's hard to account for folks. And then when you have center backs who are engaged and you have all of this kind of stuff, you don't know where the danger is coming from when you're looking at Columbus. And I think that that's what makes them as dangerous as they are. And, you go up against a Cincinnati team that had a makeshift back line, and we still do not have anything on the Matt Miazga investigation, and this Wednesday before a conference final. Now that I think about it, we got the suspension from the double yellow, but the charging in with a pizza box, or however Pat Noonan wanted to describe it, we don't have anything extra with the investigation from Major League Soccer yet. So we're still waiting on whether or not Matt Miazga is going to be available for a conference final.
Yeah, usually I would say tomorrow, only because usually this, like the disco rulings, the disciplinary
news dump
ruling comes out on Thursdays on a usual match week. So I would guess that to be the case.
Okay. So
I'm not speaking on I don't have any certainty to that. I'm not. I don't have anything embargoed in my email. And you don't have my camera to I'm being absolutely truthful with that. I don't have any advanced knowledge of.
You're not holding a piece of paper that says advanced knowledge.
No,
you have your camera turned off just so we can't see it.
Absolutely not.
Western Conference Benny ball continues to make its way through, and I mean this is the thing, and I don't think we've had the chance to discuss this. Why? And we had Glenn Davis on yesterday, and we've been discussing. We have been trumpeting Ben Olsen to get Coach of the Year votes. I mean, he wouldn't necessarily get Coach of the Year, mind you, because of what you were looking at with Carnell and Noonan and Wilfried Nancy, but why he isn't being discussed more in the Coach of the Year discussion, even though he probably still wouldn't win it. It's almost like Ben Olsen and what he's done in Houston's an afterthought.
Yeah, in so many ways too, right? And like even look at Sunday's two games, right? And listen, I'm in a salty mood. So
Nothing wrong with that.
but honestly, it did look like, wasn't it? Didn't it feel like it was like the varsity and the JV games? Like the varsity semifinal was Seattle LAFC, and you would have said that should have been the final, right? And whoever was advancing out of that was going to clearly be the favorite against whoever advanced out of the other game, right? Between Houston and SKC. That's just the way it was in the West. So even on the day, like, they were an afterthought, right? Like, you were like, oh, cool, this is the appetizer, so we can get to the turkey and the stuffing and mashed potatoes at Lumen Field. So but yeah, listen, man, huge credit to them. And I think and I was on the desk Sunday. I was on a few of those press conferences, and he's said it throughout the season, so it's not like it's new information. But huge credit to them too, where it's not just makeover for makeover's sake. It's not just replacing this guy with another guy who has similar traits, if not better, maybe younger. They went after winners, right? Like guys who, whether it's in this league or other leagues, who have won trophies before, and put them into that locker room. And that helps change culture quicker than anything else. So it's one thing if the manager says this or that, but it's another thing to have guys who have been through it. And in the case of like a Franco Escobar, as you guys well know, in Atlanta,
that's true.
Guys who not only have been in it but have played massive roles in it, right? So I think that was huge on their part. I think that was wise on their part, and yeah, they're just humming along. I mean, listen, I think honestly, once they made the playoffs, it just felt like it was gravy from here on in, right? Like they were well ahead of schedule for their resurgence, or whatever you wanted to call it. And now they're still playing with house money, right? Like they're going to go to LA as this underdog, as they've been all year long, right? As this dark horse that no one expects can do anything. And I think maybe even the first question of Olsen in the press conference was about his team's road form, right? Like, so already it was setting up like, well, you guys don't win on the road. How do you change that? Well, all right.
30% of the teams win on the road in Major League Soccer.
So yeah, I think it shapes up great for them, right? Like, all the pressure is on LAFC and being defending champions and being at home, and perfect for the Dynamo.
Well, and I mean, with LAFC, I would maintain that they still haven't been right after exiting CONCACAF Champions League. It's something there that's, I mean, you look at Denny Bouanga, and no doubt about it with what he's been able to do, but it seems like Carlos Vela, all Carlos Vela wants to do is try to draw fouls and complain when he doesn't get the fouls drawn. And he is not the same individual that he was even last year. I mean, Carlos Vela his productivity has fallen off, and it's just like, it seems like, in the back line, why in the blue-ish Seattle isn't running at Giorgio Chiellini all night long? 9,000-year-old Chiellini, why are you running him into the ground? That was just, I'm like, serious. Why? I feel like Ross. Why? I have too many questions with LAFC in general, but going to BMO and that building, obviously the 3252 plays a big part in this. And then it seems like, I don't know why this is, but at BMO specifically, where LAFC is concerned, if they get one, then that momentum is there, and they keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and it turns into 2 and 3 almost instantaneously. I don't know any other, there are a whole lot of buildings that do that in the Western Conference, but it just seems like once they get that one, the field tilts, and if you don't hang on, then it's going to get ugly quick.
Yeah, and their keeper has his mojo back, right? Which what a great story that is, right? As well, like again, it's probably like 1:30 in the morning, and God bless LAFC's PR team, man. They were rolling in, all right, next up is this guy for our press conference. Like, all right, cool. Next up is this guy. Yeah, like, but
Craig Post's been big.
he was fantastic in that game against Seattle, especially, and so yeah, like you get. There's so many great storylines in this one as well, right? It's not the classic rivalry that Hell is Real is, and the hatred that comes with that. But you've got listen, if you're from Mexico and you follow MLS, you've got another like you did in the last round, right? With Pulido and Herrera. Now you've got Vela and Herrera, right? You've got the darlings of MLS, right? The flashy LAFC side against this hardworking machine that's in Houston, right? You've got Benny Ball against whatever you would call it for Cherundolo. Like there's a lot in it. I think both games are going to be hugely entertaining and certainly intriguing. Again, I think I that's what I thought LAFC. If you would have put LAFC Seattle as the Western Conference Final, I would not. I think that probably had a little bit more to it, if I'm being fair, than LAFC Houston does. But still, we're going to be tuning in. That's for sure. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Juice boxes right now, or actually, sorry, Christmas side dishes. FC Cincinnati is a plus 121 at home. 90-minute draws a plus 247. Crew are now down to a plus 214. I'm thinking 90-minute draw here to plus 247.
90-minute draw, huh?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I think that Crew probably tries to slow things down. It might be 1-1, 1-1, 2-2, somewhere in there. I think obviously that Lucho gets his, and then it comes from another source. I don't think it's going to necessarily be another goalless draw where Yerson Mosqueda comes up late in the 94th with something. But I could see it going 1-1 and then going. I think it might take a while for that one.
Here's a question for you that just kind of thought up here. When you look at the losers on this weekend or this past weekend,
yeah,
whose championship window is really close, and whose window is a little bit left open, like between Philly and Seattle?
No, between Philly and Seattle.
Yeah.
I think probably Seattle's is more closed because Philadelphia comes across to me as a system where you can have younger guys who can come in and fill in those spots, and you can make a strategic transaction to help out, obviously, with Wagner probably leaving and that kind of a thing. I think you can make a strategic purchase, and with what you have from your academy, I think that the younger guys can help fill those gaps. I think that Seattle, and we went over the after the losses on Monday, we went over how many folks are out the door. And I want to say it was like 13 or 14 players have contracts that end at the end of this calendar year for Seattle. And it was Rusnak, it was Ladero, it was Rui Diaz. I mean, you had a lot of the big guns for Seattle who are out of contract. And so that's why I was thinking that it was going to be Seattle because of just the roster upheaval that we're staring at here with contracts and folks that are going to be, out the door. And so, okay, so I found it because it was actually bookmarked. One of the few things that was bookmarked. Rusnak, Ladero, Montero, JP, Eber, Kellen Rowe, Arriaga, Stefan Cleveland, Paul Rothrock, Josh Atencio, Jackson Reagan, Dylan Tevez, Jacob Castro, Abdoulaye Sissoko. That's your 2023 end of the calendar year, folks, that need to have decisions made in very short order when it comes to Seattle. I would say Seattle more than Philly.
You thought I was going to go with Orlando, and you were just going to poop on them a little bit.
Well, but I think that Orlando's got some decisions too, and the biggest decision they've got is on Oscar Pareja.
And you wonder if there's a decision on Jim Curtin as well, or if there's a if that's, I don't know. I think his Bedoya statements.
Yes.
I don't know if that's going to.
I was going to get into that since you mentioned Philly. I was going to say it's like, okay, so Ernst Tanner says one thing about Bedoya.
Yeah.
And then Jim Curtin goes, well, I think there was a misunderstanding there. That's not going to sit well. That's a staring.
Well, neither is in any. What did he say in any other? In any team around the world or in any league or something along the lines of that, the head coach would have say in that.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a contest that involves 10-100 that I don't think that Jim Curtin's going to win.
Mm-mm.
And you wonder, because when he said what he said about Bedoya, I was like, I think there was a miscommunication there. And I'm thinking, whoa, okay. I don't think there was, but okay, now that you put that out there, much like Marty Schottenheimer, there just comes a point where you sit there and you're like, no, man, the message is done. I think that the message is getting lost here. You hit that career dissipation number, and it's just, it might be time. It might be time to go and try and find a different pasture. I'm just saying. And
in which case, I mean, not to open this Pandora's box.
Oh, come on. Go ahead and open it.
So now Jim Curtin and all of his success in Philly with some job openings, right? Like, where could he land?
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, Jim Curtin, I know that you love the 442 diamond. Wherever you go, it would, you're going to have to change, at least in the short term, to the personnel that's there on hand in whatever formation they used the previous season. I don't think you could go to Orlando and take, Duncan McGuire and Facu Torres and sit there and go, okay, guys, 442 diamond, go. I don't think that would necessarily play. It's interesting, but yeah, I think that is Curtin kind of sitting there and trying to poke Ernst Tanner in the sternum over and over again with his index finger and go, all right, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And then Tanner just sits there and goes, all right, you're out.
Or like that old whatever cartoon it was, I'm going to draw this line. Yep. You can't cross it. All right, now I'm going to draw this line. You can't cross this line.
Yes, exactly. So that definitely does bring subplot and intrigue to Philly in the offseason. And then the Western game, and like I said, looking at the juice boxes from the Christmas side dishes for the next match out west, get this. And it's gone up since we've been talking about it. LAFC, obviously, big favorite at home at BMO at a -159.
Who knew that I would just me being on your show has changed the odds as much by touting LAFC the way they did.
Well, and get this, the 90-minute draws at +309. The number that has gone up is Houston. Houston is at a +405 in the composite right now. That's gone up since we've been talking about it. That +405 is a tempting number. It really is. With Christmas side dishes and such, hey, I mean, I could take that. I could take that +309 for the 90 minutes. I could take that +405 for Houston to win outright. I could
put a fiver on it.
Yeah, I could see that. No, although we neither condone or endorse that kind of behavior, and if we do, then just please do your juice boxes responsibly. That's all we want. Do not give your favorite flavored juice boxes if you can't afford not to wish to have the great refreshment of said juice box. That's the biggest thing, So MLS best 11 before you go. Berkey,
you get a fullback in there somewhere. Why are fullbacks? First of all, a fullback is never apparently going to be the defender of the year.
Yeah,
but they've got to at least be part. Like, who runs around with just center backs?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's guys in the wings, no? Like Walker Zimmerman isn't running up and down the left flank.
No, he's not. That is true.
Tim Parker's not doing that.
No.
And I love Tim Parker.
And how is it that Yeimar Gomez Andrade is a finalist in the award but not mentioned as a best 11 defender?
No, that's fair too.
And Matt,
I just think it needs to be. It needs to look more like a team, right? Like
it's just like your best.
There's really good fullback, wingbacks in his league, and it just feels like that's like the bastard stepchild of, like, you're not quite a number 10, you're not quite a winger who we consider a forward, you're not quite a center back, so you're kind of like out there at the kids' table. At scraps, right? Like
you're over there. You're eating at the kids' table in the kitchen.
Yes.
Berkey. There were teams that gave up less goals. I mean, you had Gillespie and Andre Blake, who I believe gave up less goals than Berkey did. But yeah, the defenders for me, Miazga, Parker, and Zimmerman. I thought that I would put in Yeimar over Miazga. And
yeah, he was the defender of the year. I know.
So my biggest thing once again would be keeper and Yeimar in over Miazga. So that would be, because the rest of it is Lucho Acosta, Thiago Almada, Ache, Mukhtar, Bouanga, Yakamakis, and Cucho. I would say just make it like your best roster, like your best 20. What's your game day 18 or something like that?
Right.
Do something that way. So that would be, like I said, those were my beefs with the best XI, and so that's all I know.
For me, like I said, for me, it's let's give the fullback, wingback some love.
There you go. So what is the latest with you now? Is the calendar is going to turn to December, and we got conference finals this weekend. What's going on with you and varsity and OSDB and MLS soccer?
Yeah, what's good is our basketball coverage really won't ramp up until the new year. So a nice break. I do have an all-star football game to call this Sunday. But that would do it for football, and then basketball, like I said, we probably won't start until like January 3rd for that. So so that'd be nice. So yeah, all eyes on MLS and the season wrapping up. And as we know, it's not like we could even say there's going to be an off season, because there really isn't.
No, there isn't.
With the silly season opening up, and then preseason, and then Champions League or Champions Cup, excuse me.
The hemispheric extravaganza, yes.
Yeah, so no rest for the weary there, but yeah, I think since the next time we'll be speaking is previewing MLS Cup, I will say it'll be and you know what? Just because I want MLS Cup to be like, I don't know, you probably won't top last year, but I want it to be as like entertaining as all hell. So I'm gonna go Columbus and LAFC.
Okay, I'll go Columbus and Houston.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, I think that they both would be. I think Columbus and LAFC would be fun. I think you take the over, and I think that Houston's not going to back down from anybody either. So, and I think that the story of Benny Ball working its way through Houston, hopefully it will put a jump charge in that market as well when it comes to doing things. So please make sure that you can find out what's up with your camera, unless it was just shielding us from showing classified information on the show. I
don't know what happened. Like I had it off on a Zoom, but I didn't like shut it off like completely. It's always on when I'm jump on with you. I don't know why.
I don't know. So then what's your mug for this morning?
UEFA suck. No. Grateful for some reason.
Okay. Well, yes, no doubt. That's.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful that there's another match day where the soccer gods will hopefully shine upon Newcastle upon Tyne and allow us to advance in the Champions League. Although the way that this team is it's kind of almost like I don't know if you're a Marvel guy, but it's almost like, when Thanos comes out and like puts the rings on and like, everyone starts to just go to dust. It feels like that's happening with my team, with all the injuries that's happening. So I don't, one thing is for certain, either I want to advance in the Champions League, just because I think generally that will help the bottom line and will help Newcastle with the whole financial fair play and get more players in the January window. Either that, or I just out. I don't want to go to play, in February in Warsaw, like
you don't want to play Astana in Kazakhstan in the Conference League?
Absolutely not. Just eliminate us then, like altogether. Let Milan go and do that.
And on a Tuesday where you're like the 8:45 a.m. Eastern time game.
Thank you.
On Paramount Plus. All right,
we don't need to stretch the depth that we don't have any thinner by playing in the JV championships.
Oh, there you go. All right, it's great to have you back. Belated happy Thanksgiving, and next we'll go over the conference finals next week and get ready for MLS Cup. Be safe, my friend.
Yes, sir. Same to you.
Stay warm, Dylan Butler. And man, Dylan was on fire this morning. Newcastle will do that. Much like Alex, like you get Dylan to talk about Newcastle, and especially with what happened yesterday. Yeah, buddy. You knew that was coming. We got a little bit of this, and and it has to do with Atlanta United. So it's really, really intriguing. News from the twos. Atlanta United has re-signed Efren Morales. The 19-year-old homegrown defender made 20 starts in MLS Next Pro in 23. Word from the club, signed him to a contract extension through 24 with an option for 25 and an option for 26. Morales finished the 23 season on loan to the twos, started all 20 of his MLS Next Pro appearances. North of 1,700 minutes, led the team in aerial duel percentage at 69%. On the field for all 5 clean sheets this year. Finished second on the team in passing accuracy at 91.4%. Completed passes, second on the team with completed passes at just under 1,100. 1 goal to his 23 campaign versus Crown Legacy, scored off a set piece crossed by Tyler Wolff. He's been with Atlanta United since the team's inaugural U12 team signed a homegrown deal back in 2020. Professional debut with the twos on August 16th at Charleston. Scored as a substitute. I remember that one. Man. First pro start came a couple days later in a 2-2 draw against the Miami FC. Morales' 54 professional appearances, all for the twos, 2 goals. International stage, Morales has earned 6 caps with Bolivia U20, including participating in the CONMEBOL U20 championships earlier this year. Most recently, earned a call-up to join Bolivia's senior national team camp for the first time for the 26 CONMEBOL qualifiers in September. So, Efren Morales, as he continues to grow at the back line as a center back for Atlanta United, he's been signed to a contract extension through 24, option for 25, and an option for 26. So, very cool to see Efra get the opportunity to continue to grow as a center back, and he's going to have some growing to do again this year. But now, Efren Morales re-signed by Atlanta United, as we got the chance to see him grow as a center back for Atlanta United. So very, very cool there to see that and to get that news coming out. But all right, so there you go, Efra. Now you've been signed, and the rest is up to you. Since Dylan was on a roll with Champions League, and I know that the D. Graham has the story from The Guardian. We'll get into that coming up in just a little bit, and we'll take the tour and get everybody all squared away for the day. Going through the results yesterday in Europe in Champions League. And yesterday it was E, F, G, and H were the groups. And so yesterday, Dortmund over Milan by the final of 3-1. Barcelona beat Porto 2-1. Dortmund, by the way, on the road was a plus 263. Atletico Madrid got a bit of an early start against Feyenoord off an own goal. Go on to win that one 3-1 at a plus 174. Manchester City, Julian Alvarez gets the goal to make it 3-2. And they win at home against RB Leipzig. PSG and Newcastle, we talked about that one pretty much all morning for various reasons. 1-1 draw to plus 315. Young Boys shut out Red Star as a home favorite 2-0. Lazio, big favorite at home and minus 164, knocking off Celtic 2-0. Shakhtar Donetsk, they beat Antwerp by the final of 1-0. Got the one goal on the board. They are in the discussion in their group with E, F, G, and H. And so after match day 5, Group E, Atletico Madrid, Lazio. Those are the two that are heading on. Just don't know the order. Atletico Madrid at 11 points. Lazio's at 10. Next match day in 2 weeks will determine who wins the group, who finishes second. Feyenoord's heading to the Conference League. They're at 6 points. Celtic has only the one draw this entire time. They're 0-1-4. They've given up 14 goals in 5 matches. They've only scored 3. And Feyenoord will be heading to Conference League. Group F still has a lot of stuff that can be decided, but it's going to take, if you're, as we've been discussing, the Newcastle math, you've got to beat AC Milan on the last match day, and you've got to get some help from the Dortmund PSG match. You're looking for a Dortmund win, and you're looking for you to take care of business against AC Milan. So that's what you're staring at. Dortmund, 10 points. PSG is at 7. Newcastle's at 5. They're ahead of Milan, but once again, it's head-to-head. It's not head-to-head in margins. It's not goal difference. So Newcastle currently is ahead of Milan on goal difference, but that doesn't quite matter. But they are 3rd, and Milan is 4th. Group G, it's Manchester City's. They've run the table, and for the last match day against Red Star, do not be surprised if that squad is rotated. And I mean rotated. Manchester City, 5 for 5. Scored 15, given up 5. They're ahead of RB Leipzig by 6 points. Young Boys will be heading to Conference League. They're at 4 points, provided that the matchup against Leipzig might be just a kickabout. So everything in Group G might just be a kickabout in 2 weeks. Manchester City going up against Red Star. Red Star's got 1 point, but if Red Star wins, then you look at the head-to-head against Young Boys and see what happens there. But it looks like Young Boys are heading to Conference League. Group H, Barcelona, 12 points, 4-0-1. Porto and Shakhtar, right now, Porto and Shakhtar, they are tied at 9 points. And Porto won the first match between those two, 3-1. They play each other on the final match day. And it's at Porto. So it looks like Porto, if they take care of business, they will advance. Shakhtar goes to Conference League. They've done really well playing away from home once again for yet another year. The matches today. Galatasaray, Manchester United, and this one is slated for 12:45. And I say slated for 12:45 because right now, according to our friends at TalkSport, this one may or may not go down. The United game could be off. So let's see what we're staring at here. TalkSport has been told there are serious concerns over the Galatasaray pitch after a torrential rainstorm in Istanbul. Turkish football expert Emre Sarıgül joined the morning show to provide an update on whether the game is set to go ahead or not. The famous slogan, quote, the famous slogan is "Welcome to hell," but today it's not going to be that fiery because there's torrential rain and there's a real fear in Turkey right now that the game could be called off. Serious concerns right now. Torrential rain in Istanbul as we speak. The U19 game did go ahead, but the playing conditions were really bad, and a picture basically looks like it's a slip and slide. They played at Whitewater. No statement right now, but the club is looking into it, and the match officials are there. As things stand, it's going ahead, but they're running a few more tests. Sarigul said, I've been told by the club the pitch should be able to deal with the amount of rain there is now, but there's going to be a decision closer to kickoff whether the game will go ahead or not. It's all up in the air right now. Update, 7 minutes ago. The ground staff are preparing the pitch for the match. Match could go ahead. UEFA officials have been out on the surface for various tests over the last 30 minutes. The signs were not promising. Journalists at the stadium have now posted images of the Champions League logo being pulled into position on center circle. All signs pointing at the game kicking off is planned at 5:45. So apparently it is raining pretty much any animal known to mankind in Istanbul. So we'll see what happens, but it could be a bit of a sloppy one in Galatasaray where hell could be drowned out, and it would just be smoke and a flint. Manchester United on the road at Galatasaray is a plus 150. Galatasaray is a plus 172. Sevilla and PSV is your other 12:45. PSV is a favorite on the road at a plus 143. Sevilla is a plus 184. 3 o'clocks, and there's 6 of them. Arsenal, big favorite at home against Lens at a minus 250. Bayern Munich, a big favorite at home against Copenhagen at a minus 417. Copenhagen's north of plus 1050 themselves. Benfica and Inter. Benfica, slight favorite at home against Inter at a plus 158. Inter is a plus 179. Braga and Union Berlin. Braga is a plus 106. Union Berlin is a plus 256. Draws a plus 271. Union Berlin set to make history in Champions League with their first assistant coach being the first female first assistant coach in Champions League play. Real Madrid and Napoli, one of the marquee matchups at 3 o'clock. Real Madrid's a minus 120. Draw and Napoli are both within the margin of error in and around plus 310. Real Sociedad and Salzburg is your other matchup at 3 o'clock. Real Sociedad is a minus 217. Salzburg to win is a plus 633 in the composite. And this is Group A, B, C, and D today. Group A, it's Bayern Munich's. Right now, they are 8 points clear with 2 to go. Then the battle is to figure out 2, 3, and 4. Copenhagen, 4 points. Galatasaray, 4 points. Manchester United, 3 points. Copenhagen and Galatasaray, the last time they played, was a 2-2 draw. And they will play again on the last match day. Manchester United right now is on the outside looking in. Group B, Arsenal after 4 matches, 4 points clear of PSV. PSV and Lens are both at 5 points. So keep an eye on the head-to-head with them. Sevilla right now is at 2 points. PSV and Lens, when they played the last time, match day 3, it was a 1-1 draw. Group C, Real Madrid, 5 points clear with 2 matches to go. They get a win today. They win the group. Napoli's at 7 points. Braga's at 3. Union Berlin finally got a point last time out with the 1-1 draw at Napoli. Group D, this is chaos for you. Real Sociedad and Inter, they're going in. 2 matches to go. They're both 7 points clear of Salzburg and Benfica. Salzburg and Benfica get to sort it out to figure out who's going to Conference League. Real Sociedad and Inter, identical records, both at 10 points. Real Sociedad and Inter, when they played in match day 1, was a 1-1 draw. They will play in match day last to probably determine group. So that's what you are looking at in Champions League today. Also on the board, let's take a peek at what to watch and where to watch it. And keep an eye on the U.S. WNT camp because Emma Hayes got to meet her players for the first time. They got some friendlies coming up with China, and they got to meet their new coach. So match day 5, where you can watch things. CBS Sports Network is Real Sociedad and Salzburg. La Liga on ESPN Deportes at 3 with Mallorca and Cadiz. Calavisión has Bayern and Copenhagen at 3 o'clock. 2 to NA has Galatasaray, Manchester United, followed by Real Madrid and Napoli. The Apertura quarterfinals are a doubleheader on 2 to NA. León and Club America, Atlético San Luis, who won the play-in round, goal from Jürgen Damm, and Monterrey is at 10. Unimas. Abby, we'll get to that in a second. Galatasaray, Manchester United, 12:45 on Unimas. Real Madrid and Napoli's on Univision at 3. Streaming offer for ESPN Plus. Mallorca and Cadiz at 3. The championship, Ipswich and Millwall. Blank you, I'm Millwall, 3 o'clock. Paramount Plus, they also have a streaming offer if you want to jump on it. And the Asian Champions League is wrapping up for the day with the last matchup of 6. They had 4 at 5 a.m., 1 at 7, and 1 at 9. They've got all the Champions League matches. Big day in the Brasileiro. Match at 5. A triple header at 6. Doubleheader at 7:30. CONCACAF W Gold Cup qualifying is also on Paramount Plus today. And it is U.S. Virgin Islands at 3. They've got a matchup at 2. 1 at 5. Triple header at 7. Jamaica, Panama, Nicaragua, Honduras, Martinique, and El Salvador. VIX has Champions League and 6 matches in the Brasileiro. The Brasileiro matches that are on Paramount Plus are also on VIX. And Abby, to answer your question, no worries. It is correct. You are absolutely correct in your assessment because of Bart. Bart is now, because of his real job, he is going to be switched to Mondays. So Bart will come on now Mondays at 10:30 to wrap up the weekend, and we'll do reffing down here and anything else going on. So Bart will be now 10:30s Monday. Abby, you're clairvoyant. Long drive south for Alex. Alex won, by the way. 9.5 down, 13 back. You win. That's nasty. That is nasty. So busy day when it comes to your viewing habits. Paramount Plus has a streaming offer. I think if you buy the year, Plus has a streaming offer as well. If you still want to catch up with things like TIC, like CDO, For the Fans, Gold TV, Nuestra Tele, all the BNs, you can go to Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. And you can pick them up, and you can grab all of that other content. And Jason got me hooked. I blame him. So you can pick up Fanatis. Helps out the network, and it helps out the show here as well. fntz.co/soccer down here. A couple of other newsy, notesy things before we go. D. Graham, I know that you had mentioned this story from the Telegraph. FIFPro survey reveals 22% of FIFA Women's World Cup players from the last time did not have an ECG, and 10% didn't have any pre-tournament medical examination, despite it being mandated by the regulations. And so Tom Gary put that story out, and let me see if I can find it really quickly. Oh, the sin bin thing. I know that we've got to kind of discuss that too. From Tom Gary, National Football Federations have been criticized for not doing their job properly, in quotation marks, after the numbers were released. New survey from FIFPro. 26 of the 32 participating teams highlighted concerns many international women's players not being afforded the same provisions as their male counterparts. 22% had no ECG. 60% of the players added they felt like they lacked mental health support during the tournament. Dr. Alex Colvin, FIFPro head of strategy and research for women's football, described the ECG numbers in particular as, quote, very, very concerning. Colvin added anything that's less than 100% means someone's not doing their job properly. FIFA's regulations set out a medical, and within that, there's a requirement for an ECG, so it's something that we're really pressing for, and it's something we'll continue to collect data on and to push FIFA on, to push their federations on. Once FIFA set out the regulations, it's up to the federation to meet the required regs. Very disappointing those statistics are not at 100%. Prior to the tournament, FIFPro and FIFA negotiated equal conditions for men's and women's players at World Cups, covering everything from accommodation to staff support numbers to transport, including an agreement that all players will fly in business class to and from the World Cup for the first time. However, the survey also found that only 94% of players flew in business class to the tournament, and that dropped further to 80% for return flights home after the campaign. Additionally, a majority of players who responded to the survey also raised concerns about their lack of rest either before or after the campaign. 53% of players saying they felt they did not have enough rest before their first World Cup match. 60% feeling that their post-tournament rest was insufficient. On top of that, 86% said they had less than 2 weeks of rest before rejoining their club. once again, Tom Gary and his words. It's been a topic of intense debate in the women's game in recent years and months, with national teams, including England, and clubs disagreeing over release dates for players in the build-up for the tournament amidst concerns around a congested global calendar. In September, Lioness defender Jess Carter lamented the, quote, ludicrous lack of rest some England players had after reaching the final on August the 20th. So that's from Tom Gary at the Telegraph. Abby, I don't understand why the Men's World Cup for a long time from now was determined before the women's, coming up sooner, and we're down to 3 actual bids. So one of the 4 groups has pulled out, and so now we are down to the final 3, 4 years away from a competition. One is a tri-bid, 3 countries. One is the United States. So we're down to the final 3. And so we'll see what happens there when it comes to the Women's World Cup in 27. So, yeah, we still don't have an answer when it comes to the Women's World Cup and where it's going to be versus the men who we know until now and like the year 21, 27. Yeah, it is I think it is a U.S. Mexico. I think it is. Hang on. Let me double check that. 2027. All right. So really, because there were 3, one still is a tri-country, one still is a tri-country bid. And hang on just a second. Hosts to be announced in May of 2024. Belgium, Germany, Netherlands is South Africa withdrew their bid to host, and so the remaining candidates are a Belgium, Germany, Netherlands bid, one from Brazil, and the joint bid from Mexico and the United States. That's from Reuters. So Belgium, Germany, Netherlands, Brazil, and Mexico and the United States. May 17, 2024 is the FIFA Congress. So whoever gets it, you got 3 years. You got 3 years to figure out your bid. So you tell me who's going to be ready with their infrastructure in a 3-year window. Who's going to be ready in a 3-year window of those 3 countries? So apparently the game is on in Istanbul. So that we do know. That is from our friend Nico Cantor. So Nico Cantor is saying that the game is on in Istanbul at 12:45. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But yeah, if you're interested in slip and slide, then that's probably what you're going to get in slip and slide. Other quick news: Ben Rumsby, Celtic and Lazio facing punishment from UEFA following ugly scenes in their latest Champions League clash that saw the Scottish club's supporters taunted with offensive banners. Home fans at the Stadio Olimpico, so yeah, I guess this is stupidity down here, filmed throwing flares into the away section. Pictures showed one being tossed back. A huge banner unfurled mocking Ireland's Great Famine, signed by Ultras Lazio, which read, "The famine is over, go home, effing potato eaters." Another banner signed by the same group, held up just outside the ground, included a sectarian slur banned in Scotland, stating that the blanking B word take a shower today. The third, displayed by a roadside, mocked the Celtic Boys Club pedophile scandal. That's classy. Classy. Throw the book at him. I'm tired of this crap. History of tensions, both fined after their fans let off flares prior to the 2019 Europa League match at the Stadio Olimpico. October Champions League game between the Parrot Parkhead. Scottish club's own Ultras group unfurled a banner that read "Anti-Fascist Glasgow Celtic." The display included an upside-down image of the late Benito Mussolini, and the words that basically translate into F Lazio Last week, Celtic was fined by UEFA over pro-Palestine displays led by the Green Brigade during their fixture against Atletico Madrid. Sanctions totaled more than £20,000, as the governing body also took action over fans blocking public passageways and setting off fireworks during the 2-2 draw. Celtic, which has banned the Green Brigade, have been stressing for weeks that political messages and banners are not welcome after Free Palestine and Victory to the Resistance flags were held aloft. Ahead of kickoff, Green Brigade handed out thousands of flags, which were then waved around Celtic Park for the fixture. Whatever. Stupidity down here. You ain't kidding. That's another round of stupidity down here involving UEFA. The sin bin thing, it's going to take a little bit of time, so we'll probably get into that tomorrow. So yeah, we'll get into sin bin. And let's see what other stories before we go. I think gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Hello. Forgot about that. So gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we go. And players possibly going where, yeah, Abby, I know. 2024 for a 2027. That makes a lot of sense. Not. Agreed. Chelsea prepared to reject Fulham's interest in Armando Broja in January. Arsenal willing to let England goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale leave at the end of the season, but will not let him go in the January transfer window. Donny van de Beek says he'll make a January move away from Manchester United if he doesn't start playing more games, revealing that a summer move to Real Sociedad fell through. United also hoping to strengthen in 4 positions in January, including in defensive midfield, with concerns over 27-year-old Morocco midfielder Sofiane Amrabat's season so far. Tottenham ready to rival Manchester United and Liverpool for the signing of Nice defender Jean-Claire Todibo. Everton have delayed new contract talks with Sean Dyche because of the uncertainty created by the point deduction. That's from the 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. I would imagine if Everton ended up being relegated anyway, that Dyche would want the challenge of going back up through the championship. Spurs want to sign Jota on loan from Al Ittihad. PSG are ready to sell Hugo Ekitike in January. Newcastle, West Ham, Crystal Palace, among a number of Premier League sides to have previously expressed an interest in the striker. That's the 3-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Rafa Varane and Mason Mount are among the Manchester United players at risk of being replaced. From The Guardian, Bayern Munich have discussed the possibility of signing Varane, but do not think a deal is realistic. That's from Sky Germany. Spurs interested in Blackburn Rovers midfielder Adam Wharton, who is all of 19. Ukraine and Chelsea striker Mikhailo Mudryk wants the club to sign his former Shakhtar teammate Georgi Sudakov in the January window, with the two having a partnership during their time together in Ukraine. That's from Gazzetta dello Sport. England U17 forward Mason Kocher has been training with Arsenal's first-team squad after leaving Sunderland, but the Gunners face competition from Rangers for the 17-year-old signature. Manchester United interested in 29-year-old Lazio keeper Ivan Provedel, but the Serie A club will only sell him for £30 million. Timo Werner prepared to stay at RB Leipzig and fight for his place in the side rather than move to Manchester United in January. Chelsea do not have an agreement in place, according to Fabrizio Romano, with Corinthians for 18-year-old midfielder Gabriel Moscardo, and a move for the Brazilian is not imminent. PSG and a number of other Premier League clubs keen on Moscardo, with Corinthians holding out for a deal worth £26 million. Get Valentin Barco. Go to Boca and get Valentin Barco. Borussia Dortmund winger Daniel Malin, 24, remains a key target for Liverpool, with Jurgen Klopp a big admirer of the Netherlands international. Arsenal considering a January move for Slovenian RB Leipzig forward Benjamin Sesko, and Real Betis have not given up hope of persuading Argentina midfielder Guido Rodriguez to reject Manchester United and Barca and stay with the Seville club. Abby, we talked about Efrain Morales at about 10:30, and it'll be a year for Efra to sit and prove it. So we'll see what happens. So we'll see what happens there with Efrain Morales. That is your gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and that is another show. So once again, thanks to Dylan Butler for joining us and venting his spleen about his beloved Newcastle. Thanks to all of you guys as we went through the issues of the day. I imagine we'll have issues again tomorrow, and So we'll see. Yeah, and we're all waiting on contracts all around Major League Soccer and Atlanta United. So this is when the fun starts. We know that some folks might be heading out the door. Maybe you bring some in. We'll keep an eye on what it looks like when it comes to all of these teams with all the decisions that have to be made in short order. So thanks to Dylan. Thanks to y'all. Thanks for the great discussion as always. And the discussion on whether or not Die Hard and Gremlins are Christmas movies. That's the kind of Wall Pass Wednesday we like to have around here. So for everybody here, tomorrow, Nico Moreno joining at 10:30. And we will discuss what's on Nico's mind after Seattle got bumped out of the playoffs. And we'll discuss everything Major League Soccer with Nico going forward. It'll be a fun discussion at 10:30. And yes, Bart and Reffing Down here moves to Mondays at 10:30 because he actually has to go into work for some days of the week. So Mondays at 10:30 are now Bart. Nico Moreno, 10:30 tomorrow. And we'll continue our talks. Enjoy your Champions League. If you want to see a slip and slide, go watch Galatasaray Manchester United at 12:45. It should be a sloppy slugfest coming up in short order. 8 matches, a very, very busy day when it comes to watching soccer. So on a day that's as cold as this, frankly, stay inside and get the fireplace going, get all your decorations going, and make sure that everything is heading in the right direction. Because in Office HD, we're already starting, thanks to the boss. See? Red fire truck right there. So for everybody here at SDH, thanks for hanging out with us once again. And have a great hump day, everybody. Go have a good Wall Pass Wednesday. And Mucho Plati, I'll play it safe since it's the end of the show. That means I get to do this. We'll do it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning. Promise. Bye.